The thing about Chelsea is life is never boring. Hey chaps, welcome back to properchels.tv, your one-stop Chelsea news channel. I'm your host, Logan Blue. And in today's episode, we're going to do a quick dive into the match review of the Chelsea versus Servette Conference League first round playoff match that happened last night. I didn't get to see this one myself, unfortunately, because much as you probably found out, the match wasn't shown anywhere. And it was only after the fact that I realized that the match was actually streamed on the Chelsea app for £5, I think it was. So, which is a bit rich, to be honest with you, for a Conference League playoff match. You'd think they could throw that one in with, some kind of membership package, but Chelsea being Chelsea, they want to eke out as many, as much spoils as they can from the fans. But in lieu of actually having watched the match, I'll run you through the official match review, and then we'll dive into some opinions on Enzo's his choice of team, which I have issues with, and also just with the performance generally. Okay, so the head coach made 9 changes to his Chelsea team, handing debuts to Tosin, Adebayo, and Jorgensen. Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, Pedro Neto, Gui, and Renato Vega started for us for the first time, having come off the bench in the Premier League opener against Manchester City. Axel Disasi, Benoit Badiashile, and Mikel Mudryk were the other fresh faces, Disasi earning his first minutes of the summer. Now, Disasi is rumoured to be getting some interest from Newcastle, so there is a chance that he may be sold. And if he is sold, I'm probably going to be okay with that, because barring one standout performance against Manchester City, where he showed some real sort of John Terry-esque last-ditch defending and really good fighting spirit, the rest of the time he's been a little, kind of just okay in preseason. So, but if we keep him, I'm completely okay with keeping him. Back to the article. Nkunku and Moises Caicedo, who captained, retained their places from Sunday. Before kickoff, there was a big welcome back to Stamford Bridge for João Felix, who reacquainted himself with the home support. Now, I saw footage of Felix coming on and being introduced to the crowd, and to be honest, it was a pretty tepid response from the Stamford Bridge faithful. It wasn't as if, we'd signed a Galactico. It was just like, oh yeah, polite applause. Now, maybe you could comment in the comments about what it was actually like if you were in the ground itself. But certainly from the video I saw, it was polite applause as opposed to, just like raves and standing ovations and stamping of feet. It was none of that going on. But I think Felix will do well with us. I really do. I think if we can play him at a 10 or in a second striker kind of role, I really think he'll bag 10 goals and 10 assists throughout the season. Okay, back to the article. Chelsea were purposeful from the off. Barely 60 seconds had elapsed when Dewsbury-Hall slipped in Gui, who had the crowd excited but was a fraction offside. Nkunku and Dewsbury-Hall had driving runs from deep and were forcing the Swiss side on the back foot, but they did bare their teeth for the first time on the quarter hour. Jorgensen pushed Derek Kutessa's shot over. With 27 minutes played, good hold-up play from Gui created a clear opening for Mudryk, who pulled his effort wide of the near post. Pedro then fired a shot straight at Jeremy Frick, the Servette stopper. By the time the first half drew to a close, both teams were looking more threatening on the break, but lacking the final pass to break through. We didn't have to wait long after the restart. Actually, before we jump into the second half, from everything I've read and from a whole bunch of videos that I've watched, we were very, not bad, but very mediocre in the first half. By all accounts, the first half was just dross. Okay, and I'll come to my thoughts on why at the end of the video, because this is to do with Enzo. We didn't have to wait long after the restart to do just that, get the final pass. Dewsbury Hall pounced on a loose ball, forced by pressure from Gui. I love this guy. And played in Nkuku, who took it around Frick and was felled. The Frenchman picked the ball up and slammed his spot kick into the left-hand corner. Out came the blue balloon, which we love seeing already. And this was the blue balloon was shown for the first time in the Chelsea ground. He'd done the celebration with the blue balloon once before, but that was in an away match. It should have been two almost immediately. Gui chased a lost cause and blocked Frick's attempted clearance. The ball ricocheted goalwards and was reached by Gui first, but he couldn't steer his effort past the retreating Frick, who probably kept out two further efforts from the young striker. Now, this was brilliant. He's a pressing monster. Gui's a pressing monster. So it was on the left-hand side of the penalty area, as Chelsea see it, and a clearance was blocked by Gui, and then the ball bounced way over to the right-hand side of the towards the penalty area, on the other side of the goal. Gui sprinted towards it. He had an open goal. The keeper was coming back, and he should have scored. He absolutely should have scored, but he was kind of off balance because he was running the opposite direction. He had to shoot that way, and he shot it tamely, and the keeper saved it. And then he had a couple of follow-up efforts that were just saved quite easily at close range by their keeper. So 10 out of 10 for making the chance. Yeah, 4 out of 10 for fluffing your lines. But he's 18. He's going to have a lot of this kind of final decision-making issues, but he's doing so much right that I'm just extremely excited about having him in the squad. He won't start, okay? But as a guy to come on at 60 minutes, 70 minutes, when the defense is tired and they just want to have a bit of a rest, and suddenly there's this pressing monster chasing down every single ball and harassing them, Costa style. That's my sort of striker. Okay, Maresco then brought on Cole Palmer, which is why Nkuku took the penalty, because Palmer wasn't on the field at that stage. Also on came Enzo Fernandez and Noni Madueke. This was just on the 60-minute mark. Palmer moved into a central attacking position, which is good. That's where we'd like to see him more in the 10 role, or potentially in an advanced 8, in a double 8 pivot if he's being a midfielder to allow other people up front. He can be the playmaker, the quarterback kind of role. That's a home game for him. It was the other two subs who combined to double our lead. Enzo threaded a wonderful pass inside the right-hand channel, which Madueke raced onto and smashed high past Frick on his weaker foot. This was great. It's on the right-hand side, and Madueke, he charged into the penalty area, and as opposed to what he normally does, which is cut back, try to get on his good left foot, take 2 touches too many, defenders come back, he just lashed it with his right foot, boom, goal, brilliant. So Madueke, who's also been rumoured to be a target of Newcastle, I really want to keep him, because whether he starts on the right or whether he's an impact striker, we need depth. We need to be Manchester City. We need to be able to bring on somebody, at 70, 60 minutes who can change the game. And Madueke is absolutely somebody that can do that. But also he can be great from the start. He just has to get his final decision-making, boots on, because like Gui, he's still young and maybe his final decision isn't quite up to snuff. It was the other two subs who combined, blah, 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 double the lead, okay? Servette tried to hit back with 9 minutes remaining through sub Jeremy Goulemont after we had lost possession in our defensive third. Jorgensen, who enjoyed a tidy debut, and that's a very patronizing adjective. I've heard and read and seen lots of people who were at the match talking about how he was excellent. Good with his feet, made saves when he had to. Okay, so you and I and every other Chelsea fan that you'll ever talk to would rather play this guy sight unseen or based on one match in one match in preseason. We'd rather play him as our number one than who, because who is prone to defensive lapses when he's playing out from the back, and supposedly that's what he's good at, but he's just not. So, we're not going to win anything with him in the team, but we might with Jorgensen. Okay. The keeper could only watch as sub Tiamoko Otara, apologies if I butchered the name, took a touch off Tosin, who apparently had a great game too, and looped over him. Thankfully, the ball struck the top of the crossbar, and we escaped from the resulting corner. The unmarked Gail Onawa headed wide. So that really should have scored as the contest ticked into stoppage time. Steve Roulier won the first header from a corner, but Goulimont could not turn it over from point-blank range. He still had time for one more chance. Jorgensen to the rescue again. Okay, so the gist of my 2 cents on this game is that in my match preview, I said that Enzo would make changes in the front three, okay, but the defensive part of the team would be the same. Yes, it's 2 games in a week, okay. Yes, people are still getting up to fitness, but we need to be solid at the back. And Jose always said we needed to have a spine, right? From Czech through to Drogba at the front, Lampard in the middle, etc. Right? There were certain untouchables. Now I don't believe there are any untouchables in this team. Maybe Palmer, I suppose. But apart from him, I don't think there's a single untouchable. I know Enzo is not an untouchable, or he shouldn't be, because if his performances don't pick up from the end of last season when he was injured, then he should be dropped, and we should play Caicedo and Lavia in the sixes. Okay, but this game, Enzo didn't do that. Instead of picking the same, better keeper, of course, Jorgensen in the number 1, but the same defenders, the same back 4, right, and the same 2 sixes in front of the back 4. We need that unit to start learning how to press, when to drop off, how to invert, do all the stuff that Enzo wants them to learn. Yes, they're training that way, right? And yes, it's a squad game. I get that, but we need to have a solid defense before we're going to win anything. And the only way to do that is to play the same defenders, the same defensive midfielders over and over again. Let that become the spine of the team. We have so many options up front that we can absolutely change that. Bring on someone, take off someone, start with somebody else, swap them over, floating 10s, or two eights, attacking eights. However Enzo wants to put it together, up front, no problem at all. But in defense, let's just keep the same basic setup, the same tactics, the same players, because it's only by playing week in, week out with that same central unit, defensive unit, that we're going to become impregnable. Now, I suspect we'll never go back to the Jose 1.0 style of only giving up 15 goals in an entire season. And if you don't know that, look that up, because that's a Premier League record. Only gave up 15 goals in 38 games. All right, so I don't expect we're ever going to get to that. But what I don't want is us to be like the last couple of seasons when we've been one of the worst defenses in the entire league. Right? We need to solidify at the back, and then the front players will work their magic together. They'll have interchange 1-2s, overlapping runs, playing into space, all of the stuff that we know they should be doing. They'll work that out because they're talented people, but the defense has got to be rock solid. So that's very much on the manager or the coach for choosing to change things up because it's a Conference League qualifier. And in addition to that, my beef with this is that, dude, it's a qualifier. Yes, it's the Conference League, and we know we should be in the Champions League because we're Chelsea, but we were crap last year with a good second half of the season that managed to sneak 6th, right? But come on, this is a qualifier. We're in it, so we want to win it. All our sponsors will want to be on television in Europe. And yes, we know there's a lot less money than in the Champions League and the new format of the Champions League. I think it's looking at, if you get to the latter stages of the Champions League, I read that the team will make something like 180 million I don't know if it was pounds or euros, but either way, it's a fair whack of change that'll help you with PSR, right? With meeting PSR regulations. So you get that money coming in, whereas maybe in the Europa or the Conference League, you might pick up 20 to 30 million if you go deep. But either way, sponsors will want it, the players need it, and we as a new Chelsea, if that such a thing can be said, is that we need to win. Winning breeds winning. So remember the first time when Jose was with us? Everybody sort of poo-pooed the old League Cup, right? It's like the lesser of the two cups, in England, and we know that, right? But Mourinho played his first team and won it because he understood the importance of winning. That first League Cup win was the basis, right? The genesis of everything that followed. Be it the FA Cups, the titles, and the almost Champions League, had we not had dodgy referees against Barcelona. Okay? But yeah, so that's the kind of gist of that. I just also wanted to end very briefly on a little bit of our striker, our pursuit of a striker, because what this shows to me, and I'm sure to you, is that Chelsea need a striker. Now, we need a better goalkeeper. We've bought Jorgensen, so maybe Jorgensen is that better goalkeeper, right? He's certainly better than Sanchez, right? My Nana's better than Sanchez, and she died in 1988, right? Anyone's better than Sanchez. But Jorgensen at the moment seems to be the alternate, which is unfortunate. But I'm hoping he'll win the number one spot moving forward, right? But if we can just get Osimhen. Now, I know I'm just saying what you've been saying, and every Chelsea fan has been saying for God knows how long. If we can just get Osimhen, he's the final piece in the puzzle. Now, I don't know if he is the final piece in the puzzle. Remember when Chelsea bought Lukaku? Hate Lukaku. When we bought Lukaku, and not everybody, I didn't want to buy him. I've got social posts from that time frame saying anyone but Lukaku. He's a flat track bully. He's not Chelsea standard. He's never been Chelsea standard, right? And we buy him, and the pundits and a lot of fans were saying that Lukaku was the final piece of the puzzle. He was nearly 100 million. Okay, he wasn't worth 100 quid, let alone 100 million quid. Osimhen, at 25, has had one good season, one great season when he helped Napoli win the Scudetto. Okay, fabulous. In the rest of his time at Napoli, he's a 1-in-2 striker, so that is absolutely fine. But understand that he only scored 15-odd goals last season, which again is not a bad return, but it's Italy. And the standard of it in Italy is nowhere near the standard in the Premier League. And how many times have we bought a player from another league that is scoring like crazy, like Werner or Havertz or someone, and they come to Chelsea, they play in the Premier League, and they just can't cut it. Now, I don't think Osimhen is going to be that guy. I think Osimhen will score 20 goals, 15 to 20 goals in the league plus the various cups, right? I think I won't say he's the final piece in the puzzle, but he's the linchpin. He's the guy that will take everything to the next level. We need that target man. And also, I would love Gu to play and train with him, because what a great person to learn off. He's big, he's aggressive, he chases down lost causes, all the things that Gu does, but he's embryonic in them, right? Plus, he's a finisher. He's great with his head. He's got a prodigious leap on him, like a Ronaldo type leap by all accounts, like a crazy leap. Okay, almost like he's getting up on a ladder or something, right? So he's good with his head. We've got a lot of guys, and Enzo really wants. Enzo likes wide wingers. The old chalk on your boots kind of stick out wide. The reason that he didn't like Sterling, I believe, is that he's seen enough of Sterling in videos and in person to know that Sterling always wants to be about Sterling. So when Sterling is attacking from the left-hand side, he will always, or 9 times out of 10, cut inside and try to score or lay it off, right? Enzo wants wingers who go outside, who stretch the play. Because when they go outside, they can get across into the center forward, right, and to the attackers that are joining, the center forward in the penalty area. But B, if both wingers go out wide, right, then the defenders get stretched. So suddenly you've got two channels where attacking midfielders can, like Lampard style, right? Who was like the best Premier League player of all time for making those late runs into the box, right? Winger gets outside, crosses it in towards the penalty spot, somewhere around there. Lampard turns in, boom, another goal to Lampard, right? So Sterling didn't fit that mold. But like I said, if we do get Osimhen, and it's a big if because I think PSG will jump in, but if we can get Osimhen, I think he will be the linchpin we need for our attackers. We need that focus point. Okay, so I'm not going to say he's the final piece of the puzzle, but he's the piece that I think will make the whole greater than the sum of their parts. Okay, that's it. That's all the news that's fit to print. As always, God bless. Look after yourself, and I will see you next time. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks so much for that. Bye for now.